These are 10 British frozen foods that vanished from our freezers. And number 3, that jingle is still stuck in your head 40 years later. Number 7 caused a corporate scandal that killed an entire brand overnight. And number 1, in 2009, it beat wagon wheels and fab lollies to become Britain's most loved nostalgic snack, then disappeared anyway. Those of us who remember when a trip to the freezer aisle felt like opening a treasure chest, when 75 pence could feed the whole family, when choosing your filling, minced beef or chicken curry, was a proper dinner table debate. This one's for you. Number 10, Findus French bread pizza, baguette. Pizzas of the 80s. In the early 1980s, Findus French bread pizza made weeknight suppers feel cosmopolitan, even if cosmopolitan just meant putting pizza toppings on a baguette. Imagine a crusty half baguette topped with tomato sauce, cheese, and ham and pineapple. You'd bake it from frozen, and the base would go chewy, crispy, while the cheese bubbled. Launched in May 1979, it became a remarkable product success. By 1980, it shot Findus to the top of the UK pizza market. A pack cost around £1.20 to £1.50. It wasn't quite pizza, it wasn't quite a sandwich, but somehow better than both. The TV ads featured a groovy jingle and piping hot baguette slices that looked impossibly golden. It felt European. It felt grown up. By the mid-80s, every supermarket had its own version. By the 1990s, the original had quietly disappeared. And when Nestlé wound down the Findus brand in the UK in 1998, these pizzas became just a memory. We lost the novelty of pizza baguettes, and with it, a bite of 80s excitement when putting cheese on French bread felt like culinary innovation. But if French bread pizza felt sophisticated, this next one was pure British comfort. Number 9, Birds Eye potato fritters, crunchy carbs of our childhood. Every British child of the 70s and 80s remembers Birds Eye potato fritters, golden, round, and often more popular than the fish fingers they came with. These were fried pucks of fluffy mashed potato, wrapped in a crispy breadcrumb coating. Deep-fried mash, essentially, and they were glorious. Birds Eye sold them from the 1970s onward. A pack cost around 50 pence to 70 pence in the 1980s. Parents loved them because they were easy. Kids loved them because they were basically chips in disguise. They went with everything. Beans, eggs, more beans. You could eat 3 and feel full, or 6 and regret nothing. As oven chips and smiley faces rose in popularity, fritters started to feel old-fashioned. Younger kids wanted faces on their potatoes, not plain rounds. Birds Eye discontinued potato fritters in 2008 after over 3 decades. We lost a unique side dish that transformed plain potatoes into a fun treat, and a little piece of mid-century school night nostalgia went with it. From comfort food to something genuinely uncomfortable to eat, this next one was a choking hazard on a stick. Number 8, Lion's Made Funny Feet. The foot-shaped ice lolly. Funny Feet was exactly what it sounded like. A foot-shaped ice lolly. And yes, it was as bizarre as that sounds. Shaped like a tiny pink foot with 5 individual toes, it was strawberry and banana-flavoured ice cream on a stick. You'd nibble each toe individually, working your way down to the heel. Lion's Made launched Funny Feet in the 1970s, and it became an ice cream van staple through the 80s. At around 20 pence to 30 pence, it was pocket money territory. You'd spot that pink foot from across the park. Kids had techniques. Some nibbled toe by toe. Others bit the whole foot off. The ritual of eating a body part made of ice cream felt transgressive in a way plain lollies couldn't match. A foot on a stick. That was the genius. By the late 1980s, Lion's Made was absorbed into Nestlé. Funny Feet was discontinued in the early 1990s as the company streamlined its range. Iceland relaunched them in 2021, but fans say they're not the same. we lost those pink feet, and with them, proof that British kids would eat literally anything if you made it the right shape. If funny feet proved kids would eat weird shapes, this next one proved they'd eat anything if it promised to make them thin. Number 7. Findus Lean Cuisine, the original diet frozen meals. Major shock. Long before keto meal prep and weight loss subscriptions, there was Findus Lean Cuisine, and for aerobics-obsessed Britain in the late 1980s, it was revolutionary. Lean Cuisine was calorie-controlled frozen dinners, chicken in wine sauce, glazed chicken, spaghetti bolognese, all under 300 calories, all microwavable. The portions were tiny, but the boxes were big on aspiration. Nestlé launched Lean Cuisine in the UK in 1987. At around £2 to £2.50 per meal, they weren't cheap, but for people trying to lose weight, it felt like a godsend. You just microwaved it and trusted the box. The packaging was fluorescent, pinks and teals that screamed "Beach Body by Spring." The name became shorthand for diet food. Someone eating Lean Cuisine at their desk was making a statement. The brand expanded to dozens of recipes at its peak. Supermarket freezers had entire sections dedicated to low-cal meals. But here's what happened. In the late 1990s, Nestlé pulled the Findus brand out of the UK market entirely. In 1998, they discontinued the Findus name in Britain, taking Lean Cuisine with it. Then, in 2013, the Findus brand that remained in Europe became embroiled in the horse meat scandal. Beef lasagna found to contain up to 100% horse meat. The brand's reputation was destroyed overnight. We lost one of the earliest healthy eating convenience options, and with it, the memory of fluorescent 1980s packaging that promised a beach body by spring, one frozen lasagna at a time. From diet dreams to something a bit more honest about what it was, let's talk about fake curry. Number 6, Vesta beef curry, the exotic frozen meal. Long before you could get a proper curry from your local takeaway, there was Vesta. And for a brief moment in the 1970s and 80s, it felt like international cuisine had arrived in Scunthorpe. Vesta beef curry came in a box with separate packets. Dehydrated rice, a pouch of curry sauce, and occasionally some sad-looking sultanas. You'd boil everything separately, mix it together, and convince yourself you'd made something authentically Indian. The sauce was sweet, gloopy, and bright yellow. Launched in the 1960s and hugely popular through the 70s and early 80s, Vesta meals cost around £1 to £1.50 per box. They promised adventure. For families who had never left the UK, Vesta was as close as you got to exotic. The adverts showed smiling housewives serving Indian food without leaving the kitchen. The reality was a fluorescent sauce that tasted mostly of sugar and corn flour. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Vesta's curry was a British invention designed for British palates that found black pepper adventurous. It wasn't celebrating Indian cuisine, it was sanitizing it. By the late 1980s, as actual curry houses opened and people tasted real spices, Vesta's appeal evaporated. The brand was discontinued in the UK by the 1990s. We lost those bright yellow boxes, and with them, a reminder of how sheltered British food culture once was, before immigration and travel opened our eyes to what we'd been missing. But not everything in the freezer was trying to be exotic. Some things were honest about being comfort food. Number 5. Lion's Made. Zoom Lolly, the rocket that launched 1,000 playground debates. Before there were smartphones to argue over, there was the Zoom Lolly, and every kid had a theory about which flavour stage was best. Zoom was a stacked rocket-shaped ice lolly in red, yellow and green. You'd work your way through 3 distinct fruit flavours: strawberry, pineapple and lime. It looked exactly like something that belonged in the space race era. Lion's Made launched Zoom in the 1960s, riding the wave of moon landing fever. It cost around 10 pence to 15 pence through the 70s and 80s, pocket money territory. The tie-in marketing featured Thunderbirds characters, with Lady Penelope and Parker pitching Zoom in TV ads. Kids would debate endlessly, was lime the best, or was it strawberry? Did you eat it top to bottom, or save your favourite for last? And the colours were so bright, they'd stain your tongue for hours. But here's the truth nobody mentions. Zoom tasted mostly of sugar and food colouring. The fruit flavours were chemical approximations. Different era, different standards. By the early 1990s, Lion's Made was restructured by Nestlé, and Zoom was discontinued around 1992. A limited nostalgia reissue in 2019 caused a stir, but it didn't stick around. When we lost Zoom, we lost a little taste of the space age. A simple lolly that, for a few pence, could send a kid's imagination soaring out of this world. From space-age rockets to 1980s Italian glamour, this next one had a jingle that never left. Number 4, Wall's Gino Ginelli. Ice cream. Tutti frutti, goodbye. Who remembers singing along to Gino? Oh, Gino Ginelli. In the late 1980s, that jingle lived rent-free in a generation's heads, and the ice cream felt impossibly fancy. Gino Ginelli was Wall's attempt to bring Italian flair to British freezers. Launched around 1986 to 87, it introduced flavours beyond plain vanilla, tutti frutti studded with candied fruits, choc and nut, rum and raisin. The packaging was jazzy and bright, and suddenly your local co-op felt continental. The TV commercials had an earworm jingle you couldn't escape. The ads made it look like you were sophisticated just for buying it, and compared to the mid-80s before Haagen-Dazs arrived, Gino Ginelli was genuinely exotic. A tub cost around £2 to £2.50 in the late 80s, positioning it as a treat. You'd serve it at family gatherings and feel like you'd upgraded. But as the 90s progressed, premium imported brands entered the market. Haagen-Dazs brought actual European sophistication. Ben & Jerry's brought American excess. Suddenly, Gino Ginelli's novelty wore off. It wasn't Italian, it was Wall's pretending to be Italian. By the mid-1990s, Wall's quietly phased out the line. The brand that once felt cosmopolitan was retired. When Gino Ginelli melted away, we lost one of the first signs that British ice cream could be more adventurous than Neapolitan, and those delightfully gaudy, tutti-frutti tubs that made dessert feel like a trip to Italy, even if it was really just Blackpool. From Italian pretensions to proper British working-class honesty, this next one had a jingle you can probably still sing. Number 3, Birds Eye Steakhouse Grills. We hope it's chips. In 1983, a catchy advert jingle asked, will it be chips or jacket spuds? As burly workmen fantasized about dinner, and an entire generation still remembers the answer. Birds Eye Steakhouse Grills were thick, oval beef burgers designed to cook from frozen and taste like a steak. The famous TV advert, set to Que sera, sera, cemented its place in pop culture. We hope it's chips. It's chips. We hope it's chips. And it usually was chips. Introduced in the 1970s, steakhouse grills became a weeknight staple. A pack cost around £1.50 to £1.75. You'd cook one under the grill, and that charred, meaty aroma would fill the kitchen. Serving steakhouse grills meant you'd made an effort without actually making an effort. They were thick enough to feel substantial, quick enough to save a weeknight. Chips, peas, maybe some onion rings if you were pushing the boat out. The jingle did its job. Decades later, people still sing it. That's successful advertising, when the product's gone but the tune remains. The product survived into the 2000s, but Birds Eye quietly retired the steakhouse grill name in the early 2000s. They rebranded it as Beef Grill Steaks. So while you can still buy something similar today, the iconic steakhouse grill as we knew it vanished. We lost the name and jingle that made a simple beef patty feel like a hearty, macho meal. And with it, the sense that frozen food could have personality, humour, and a tune you'd remember 40 years later. If steakhouse grills had personality, this next one had a story that proves nostalgia doesn't always taste as good as you remember. Number 2, Birds Eye Arctic Roll. The ice cream Swiss roll that came back wrong. Arctic roll wasn't just a dessert, it was a cultural moment wrapped in sponge cake, and its story teaches us that some things are better left in the past. Picture vanilla ice cream and raspberry jam rolled inside a thin layer of golden sponge, served in perfect round slices. Pink jam, white ice cream, yellow cake. It looked like something from a 1970s dinner party, which is exactly what it was. Invented in 1958 by Czech immigrant Ernest Velden in his Eastbourne factory, Arctic Roll became a Sunday special. During the 1980s, they sold over 40 kilometres every single month. That's nearly twice the length of the Great Wall of China. Every single month. You'd slice it carefully, trying not to let the ice cream squish out. It was saved for Sundays or special occasions, not because it was expensive, but because it felt special. Sales slumped in the 1990s as premium ice creams from abroad took over. Birds Eye discontinued Arctic Roll in 1997. Then came 2008. The recession hit, and suddenly people wanted comfort food. Birds Eye relaunched it. From December 2008 to April 2009, they sold 3 million boxes worth £3.5 million, about 400 kilometres of the stuff. But then people actually ate it and remembered why it had disappeared. The sponge was dry, the ice cream was icy, the jam was artificial. By 2011, sales had crashed 38% year on year. Most supermarkets delisted it. We lost Arctic Roll twice. Once in 1997, then again around 2012, and with it, the lesson that nostalgia is a feeling, not a flavour. And sometimes the past should stay exactly where it is. But if Arctic Roll taught us that some things don't hold up, this last one proves that some things were always perfect. Number 1, Findus Crispy Pancakes. The tea time treat in a breadcrumb coat. In 2009, Findus Crispy Pancakes were voted Britain's favourite nostalgic snack in a GMTV poll, beating out wagon wheels, fab, lollies and every other childhood treat. That tells you everything. These were flat, semicircular pancakes filled with savoury fillings, minced beef, chicken, cheese, then coated in bright orange breadcrumbs that turned shatteringly crispy in the oven. The filling was molten lava that scalded tongues and dripped down chins. Every kid knew the risk. Every kid took it anyway. Introduced in the late 1950s and hitting peak popularity in the 1970s and 80s, they cost around 65 pence to 75 pence for a pack of 4 in the mid-80s. Minced beef was the classic. Chicken curry was exotic. Cheese was safe. Choosing your filling was a proper dinner table debate. Generations remember the proper tea of crispy pancakes with chips and peas, not fancy, not nutritious, but comforting in a way that transcends logic. You'd wait impatiently for them to cool, just enough not to kill you, then bite in anyway. The crunch of the breadcrumb, the gush of the filling, the immediate regret, it was a ritual. Celebrity chef Hugh Fernley Whittingstall recreated them on River Cottage in 2009 and admitted in the Times that he loved them as a child. Even people who became food snobs couldn't deny the appeal. After nearly 50 years of tea time dominance, the original Findus line was axed in the 2010s when the brand changed hands. Birds Eye later revived the concept. You can still buy a version today for £1.75, but the Findus name itself vanished from UK freezers by 2016 after the horse meat scandal. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Crispy pancakes were never haute cuisine. The filling was mostly gelatin and flavouring. The breadcrumbs were artificially coloured, but they were ours. They were tea time. They were childhood. When the original Findus Crispy Pancakes vanished, we lost more than a quick meal. We lost a quirky piece of our childhood dinner table, the kind of food that didn't pretend to be anything other than what it was. Quick, hot, and exactly what you needed after a long day at school. So that's 10 British frozen foods that vanished from our freezers. But I know I've missed your favourite. There's always one. These weren't just products, they were pieces of who we were. The tea time debates over crispy pancake fillings, the Sunday specials of Arctic roll, the workmen singing about chips. Remember arguing with your brother over the last funny feat? Remember peeling back the foil on a French bread pizza and burning your mouth because you couldn't wait? That's not just nostalgia, that's our lives frozen in time. Which frozen food takes you straight back? Leave a comment and share this with someone who still remembers what 75 pence could buy in 1985. Be sure to check out some of our other content if you enjoyed this one. And until next time, take care.